Hello, in this video we will understand about the neocortex. So the neocortex comprise the largest part of the cerebral cortex and make up approximately half the volume of the human brain, and it is used for the learning and the episodic memory, attention, thought and perception. So let's begin to understand with the detail. Neocortex comprises the largest part of the cerebral cortex and make up of approximately half the volume of the human brain. Remember, neocortex is responsible for the neuronal computations of attention, thoughts, perception, and episodic memory, and again using the same mechanism for movement of the muscle will improve in the next time, for example in the gym, like exercise and smooth working again and again due to the learning. So this is the brain contain brainstem and the cerebral cortex. This is the upper part is the neocortex. Let's begin. We will also understand, but first of all we will understand about the other part of the brain, but this is the neocortex. Our concern in this video is neocortex. So this is the mesocortex or allocortex, and the basal, mid and forebrain, hypothalamus and thalamus. And the lower is the pontine tegmentum. This pontine tegmentum, and below the pontine tegment, the medulla oblongata and the peripheral and peripheral anteric nervous system. And the cerebellum is behind for the motor control and motor function normally, and the cerebral cortex is the primary sensory cortex. Let's begin to understand the neocortex. Neocortex is divided in the several part in the several region of the brain. So this is the several region. Let's begin to understand. This is the prefrontal cortex. This prefrontal cortex and the frontal cortex is basically are present here, and function is a different, and this is the Broca's area, the production of speech, and this is the auditory associated cortex, and the auditory cortex is here, is used for the listening, and this is the somatic motor associated area, is used for the premotor cortex and the primary motor cortex. Primary motor cortex is used for the movement of muscles. So the sensory cortex is here, a primary sensory cortex, and this is the somatic sensory associated area. Somatic sensory associated area is used and control the skeletal muscle movement, and the visual associated area is here for the visualization and the visual cortex. Here is the Rannikis area cortex is the understand the speech, for understanding the speech. When the practice is again and again will lead to targeting cortex and grow as a learning and improve the learning, and in this way the evolutionary process will increase this cerebral cortex, the neocortex development. Neocortex adapt to a new function and working to improve growth by evolution. In this way, the easy to function shifting within cortex if one part injured. In this way, if the one part will be injured, the responsibility of that part will be transmit the function and the responsibility. So if the one part will be injured, the responsibility will take from the another part. So let's begin to understand the layers of the neocortex. Neocortex contains 6 layers. 6 layers contain neurons, interneurons, and This will lead to progress, and this will lead to fifth layer will targeting through dendrites with the first layer, and the two three layers contain interneurons, the pyramidal shape of the neurons that's contain dendrites, and the excitatory or inhibitory neurons on the basis of the smooth working and the memorization like muscle movement improvement. This is the, for example, skin. When we will learn, so it will transmit the signal to the thalamus, and thalamus basically transmit the signal to the neocortex, and the neocortex contain layers, and the two and three layers basically is the separate, and the four, five, and six layer is here. So first is the targeting to the fourth layer. In this way, the fourth layer basically targeting will lead to transmit the signal to the third and second layers. And in this way, the interconnected is here, and this transmits the signal through synapse, and this synapse will be synaptogenesis will occur for the neuroplasticity to improve the learning within the layers of the neocortex, and in this way it will transmit the signal to the fifth layer of the neocortex. After this, basal ganglia, which that transmit the fifth layer of the neocortex, transmit to the signal to the basal ganglia for the improvement and the movement of muscle smoothly or other memories. On the other hand, here is the layer 4, which that layer 2 and 3 will transmit the signal to the thalamus to the cortex, and in this way the basically it will transmit the signal, and basal ganglia also transmit the signal to the thalamus. And on the other hand, the sixth layer is also transmit the signal ultimately, and in this way the feedback loop will occur, and thalamus will improve, and thalamus will transmit the signal through motor neuron to the muscle contraction, with the unwanted movement will inhibit while the required movement will be promote. And in this way it is a refinery process which that again and again practices will lead to muscle movement smoothly, and that is why the learning automatically we are practicing, like in the gym when we are work out, when we will work out again and again our movement will be smooth as compared to the first day. This is the sensory nerves, which that transmit the signal and the integration in the neocortex. After the integration into the neocortex, the motor neuron will transmit the signal to the muscle for movement, and in this way the contraction will be smoothly again and again after the practicing. So this is the diagram which that show the layers. Number one layer is the molecular, second is the external granular, third is the external pyramidal, fourth is the internal granular, and fifth is the internal pyramidal, and the sixth is the multiform, which that is basically contain the layer is the pia matter, granule cell, apical, basal, dendrites, and the pyramidal cell, axon, and the outer band of basilarger and inner band of basilarger. Let's begin to understand their function. So here you can see this is the thalamus will transmit the signal to the fourth layer of the neocortex, as well as the other cortical area which that transmit the signal, and in this way you can understand the brainstem modulatory system will transmit the signal, and in this way the layer 1 and 2 and 3 will transmit the signal to the other cortical areas, and the other cortical areas opposite hemisphere through also and subcortical structure. So anyhow, this is the skin. Let's begin to understand with a simple diagram to understand. This is the brain. Transmit the signal after the sensory neurons through interneuron into the brain, and the brain here is the thalamus, After going to the thalamus, it will be target to the fourth layer of the neocortex, and fourth layer will transmit the signal through nerve conduction to the 2 and 3 layers, and 2 and 3 layers will transmit the signal to the fifth layer, and the fifth layer will transmit the signal also to the cortex and subcortical area, while also 2 and 3 will also transmit the cortex to the cortex. And in this way, here you can see this is the signal we transmit, and in this way the muscle contraction and unwanted movement inhibition process through inhibitory neuron. So the inhibitory neuron and excitatory neuron work together for the smooth and controlled movement. Neocortex is the outer layer of the brain. Different region of the neocortex process differently information to perform different function. It is made up of same repeating unit of the basic circuits. So the basically is the neocortex is very important for the integration, and the interneurons, inhibitor neuron and excitatory neuron work together for the smooth muscle movement or smooth muscle, as well as the learning and emotions, as well as episodic memory. So here is the inhibitory neuron, and the control the unwanted movement and control the muscle movement for again and again after the practicing. In this way, the integration to each other, as well as the inhibitor neuron interact, as well as excitatory neuron interact with the new cortex, will lead to muscle movement as a result. And in this way, again and again practicing will lead to learn the brain for working smoothly in the next time. So that is why it is about the learning and the other process. Thanks for watching. Bye.